Okay, welcome back into Imagine. This is our day 3. This is our VIP day. I call this VIP day because, like I kind of mentioned before, it's like you've decided that you're like, oh, I'm interested in kind of how this makes me feel. I'm interested in these, like how the thoughts that come up in this material. So I love it, and I love that you guys are here. I'm so happy that you're here. It really yeah, it makes a difference when you're on live. So again, hi to everyone on the recording. I know you guys are watching as well. I'm so grateful you're all here. Today we are going to talk about kind of closing the gap. We're going to talk about vibration, frequency. We're going to talk about quantum leaping, what that means, and kind of like almost like demystify some of it. Okay, so it's a really exciting day. We're also going to hear from Kyle, who is online with us. Kyle is one of my students in Transform, and she's amazing. She's going to talk to us for a little bit. And then we're going to open up enrollment for a couple really exciting opportunities. Okay, so anyway, we're also going to do a visualization. I almost forgot. After that, we're going to do a little visualization to connect us into like the feeling, and I'm going to really show you like how easy it is and how quick we can like really truly shift our vibrational frequency and shift our point of attraction. Okay, so I want to know, those of you that were with me yesterday or watched the recording yesterday, did you find in spirit action yesterday? Did you find that first step? Did you find that, right, when we were writing it out, like if all things are possible, what do I desire? Intuitively, we know, like when we truly make the decision, like we talked about yesterday, like the moment we decide, that's the most important part, right? Most people, they get stuck on this idea that we get to control the process, or we get to control the how, right? But the reality is that the only thing we get to control is the decision. And that's where most people go wrong. They don't make the decision, right? Most of us are stuck in that indecisive, oh, I don't know, is it possible? I don't know. Once we make the decision, that's the first thing we can control. The second thing is our thoughts and our feelings. No one else does that for us. We do that. Okay. Of course, people like can impact our thoughts and our feelings and kind of throw us off course, but it's up to us to recognize and choose again, right? That's a big piece of it. Okay, so those of you that did do the homework, did you find your first step? Did you find that intuitive nudge? What happens is we'll generally be like, ooh, yeah, I should totally reach out to this person, or I should totally, like, what a good idea this is. You know, when you're in that flow state, that in spirit state, that's what happens. Okay, next question. Did you take action? That's where a lot of people get hung up, is they're like, oh yeah, I want to do this. I do. And like, I've decided and I know I should do this, but I'm afraid, or like, I don't know, like all of that. Okay. So we need to develop this trust in ourselves and trust in something kind of bigger than us, whatever that looks like to you, right? Trust in something that is like everything's working out for me sort of feeling. Okay, so yesterday after the lesson, you can kind of feel that you shift your vibration, even just being here by the end. But I'm going to say, especially yesterday, because we did some tapping, some EFT, I felt amazing and felt such a shift, right? And so, and I also received some feedback from those of you that were on live that, yes, of course, you felt the shift, right? So maybe right after the call, you were in that vibrational state, you were in that flow state. That's why I kind of mentioned it's best to, like, you know, do your writing, journaling, imagining, dreaming right after that. But what about in the evening? Were you able to sustain it? Were you able to, you know, go back into your day-to-day life with the kids, with your partner, like whatever it is, going through the day? Were you able to come back to that place and stay in that higher vibrational frequency? Okay, we're going to do a little exercise here so we can kind of like explain a little bit more for those of you that are kind of newer to this material. Because once you get kind of more, I guess, like a deeper understanding and a little bit more awareness, you can actually like choose, like in any moment, you can recognize, hey, I'm kind of not feeling how I would like to feel. We can choose again, you know. So often what happens is we go back into our life, our day-to-day life, and we go back into old habits. We go back into maybe even allowing our situation, our circumstances, interactions to impact our thoughts and our feelings, and therefore our actions. Because if we are in a lower vibrational frequency, our actions tend to be few and far between, it will say, right? When we're in that piece of like, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I don't know. Like, we're honestly just we're blocking our own ability to almost like to receive, right? To receive. That's a big deal. Okay, so I want you to know that that gets easier over time, but that's why this constant spaced repetition is so powerful, right? That's what we're doing here, but that's also what we're doing in the 21 days of manifestation with our morning practice. That's something we can do on our own as well, right? That's something we can do on our own, is just catching ourselves. Okay, so sometimes the paradigm comes up and it tries to it tries to say things like, who are you to think that? Or like, what do you mean you could create this? Like, how? The paradigm is going to ask all of those questions, and it doesn't help when we're like in a space, like physically, with people that you're like, oh gosh, if I told him this, he might just think I'm absolutely crazy, Like, it doesn't help when we're surrounded by people who don't really understand this material either. That's why it's so powerful to bring them in, invite them into this. We do free events every month, just so you know. Anyway, constant spaced repetition is so powerful, okay? But something that is equally as powerful is the ability to trust yourself, to trust your intuition, to trust something that is bigger than you, like we just said. Trust that everything's working out for you. Okay, so maybe after the call, you were in a higher vibrational state, but then something happened and brought you back down. Okay, did that happen? That happens sometimes, right? So let's talk about vibration and frequency, okay? Some of this is kind of beginner, right? Like we live in a vibrational universe. Everything we can see has a vibration. Living or non-living is moving under a microscope. Okay, it's moving. It has tiny little particles that never stop moving. Even after our spirit leaves our body is still moving, right? We are vibrational beings. Everything is vibrational. Okay, that's even our feelings and our thoughts have vibration. Okay, and they're actually controlling or even like impacting how fast or slow we are vibrating ourselves, what our own personal vibration is. I personally think that the medical system should use this more. Like, vibration is such a powerful way to see where the body is, right? How the body is, how it's, is it healthy? Is it vibrating at a healthy level, or is it vibrating slow and low? So that's the thing, is that when we are in a low vibration, so for example, our feelings and our thoughts have vibration, right? And they are impacting our own personal vibration. So when we are in a sad or depressed, or we're feeling sorry for ourselves, or we're listening to our old paradigm and these old beliefs that are not true, telling us, you're not good enough, you are blah, 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 it impacts our vibrational frequency. Okay, it impacts our frequency, and then therefore we feel a certain way. Something more is we start to attract on that vibrational frequency. We will start to see proof of our feelings in our physical world. Okay, so we will have more bad experiences, more reasons to feel this way. And it's affected, it's interesting, right, how that happens when we are vibrating in a certain way. So I'm sure you've all felt that way at one point or another, right? You feel a lower vibration. You're just kind of like, meh, like all of a sudden, like it's just a lower vibration, right? So what happens when we are in the opposite? What happens when we are in a happy state, in a flow state? We are having a beautiful day, a beautiful experience. What happens when we are, like, for example, in this, on these trainings, and we're thinking all these beautiful thoughts, and we are imagining and dreaming and just like surrounded by positivity. It's a good time, right? We feel good. And then we start to attract good into our life, right? We start to attract positive experiences. This happens right away. And so what happens generally, I kind of introduced you guys to this the other day, but there's this concept that, this is, okay, so first of all, a lot of people believe that they should be like this. They're like, a flower on the wall, they're just like there. And this is how our emotional state should be. I want to give you, I want to encourage you to give yourself permission to let go of that idea, because we're human. Nobody is like this. Nobody has like a straight monotone emotional state. If they do, they'd be kind of a little bit strange, right? So our own emotional state is something like this. Like, it can be this, it can be this, right? It can be all of those. Okay, but that can happen in a day, these ups and downs, or it can happen in a week. Maybe you have good days, you have bad days, you have good days, bad days. Or it can happen over a month, like, who knows? It's totally up to you, right? And so what happens there is that what tends to happen is when we're in those lower vibrational states and we don't recognize that we are the ones that can shift it, that we are the ones that are in control of our vibrational state. If we are waiting for somebody outside of us to change, if we're allowing ourselves to get frustrated and worked up around how someone else is, this is going to negatively impact our vibrational state. And it's going to take a little while to get out of that unless we ourselves realize that it's us. Okay, interesting, right? So the more that we learn about this and increase and expand our own awareness, we eventually will start to notice when we are in a negative state, or we are allowing old thoughts and beliefs to run the show, or when we are assuming the worst or assuming something negative that we don't want. We can catch ourselves. And what tends to happen is our day starts to look more like this. Okay, but not just flat. It starts to look like this. Like, it's going up and up, like up, down, up, down, up, down. Like, we become more emotionally responsible. Okay, we become more emotionally stable when we recognize that these thoughts, any thought, remember on day one, we talked about this ability that our conscious mind has, this ability to accept or reject any idea. We then develop this awareness that we get to choose our thoughts, right? Our thoughts. Okay, we get to choose our feelings. How does this make me feel? Do I want to feel that way? What if I switch it around? What if I choose to look at it a different way, from a different perspective, and I choose again? And that's all it is. Some people have this belief that, we need to be perfect. We shouldn't be reacting. We shouldn't have these old limiting beliefs coming up. That's garbage, right? That's garbage. You're going to have them. And allowing them to come. It's okay to feel these feelings that have maybe a negative vibration attached to them. That's okay. But what we're doing here is we're allowing ourselves to develop the awareness to recognize, hey, that's a thought that I don't want to think, or like, that doesn't serve my desire. That's not where I'm going. So I'm choosing something different. I'm choosing again, right? So interesting, right? So let me know in the chat if you guys, if this is resonating, if you're kind of understanding. If you have any questions about this, like, let me know. Let's open up. So most of us here have learned about, we've heard about law of attraction, right? Law of attraction is basically, it's a secondary law to the law of vibration. Okay, law of vibration is a primary law. And it's basically saying just what we just talked about, right? That's the law of vibration. Law of attraction is very similar, that like attracts like, right? So what we focus on expands. So like attracts like is in like the vibrational frequency that we're in, we are attracting that to us. Okay, so we're going to practice in a little bit here. We're going to practice feeling our desire again. Yes. Yeah, totally, Lindsay. I love that. It's just a simple shift in our awareness, right? She says, I love how you said we shift our thinking to see things from a different perspective. Resonates a lot. I definitely can shift some stories that I have fabricated in my own mind and life. 100%. Yeah. The image of the waves going up. Keep that in my mind always now. Yes. It's so interesting, right? So it just gives her like, it gives us permission to just like be a little bit more gentle on ourselves and recognize like, you know, hey, I know you, you know, I hear you in there. You're trying to tell me this and this. And it feels real, you guys. Like it feels, you're like, how can this not be real? Right? It feels real. But once we recognize and come back to that idea of like, we created these limitations through different situations we've been through, you know, well-meaning people in our lives that have tried their best with what they had. Right? We've created these limitations. And so once we recognize that, we can choose again, we can ask ourselves, just like we did, all things are possible. What do I desire? We have this vision for our desire now. I hope you have really painted the picture clear for that desire. You've got emotionally involved in it, right? You've decided that it's yours. You've made this committed decision, and already you're seeing it working for you, right? Maybe you're just starting here. Okay. So here's what most people do. We've kind of talked about this quite a bit already, is they operate in a way that they're allowing their 3D physical reality to impact their thoughts, their feelings, and their actions. So that's kind of what we've been just talking about, like how, you know, something will happen in the day and it impacts us, right? Or when we're making a decision or having a choice or setting a goal or whatever, if we are operating from this physical plane first, we are going to be derailed, right? We are going to, I don't know, I don't want it to sound negative, but it's like being a victim of your circumstance. That's where I was, right? So most people go from the physical plane to the intellectual plane and maybe to the spiritual plane. So the physical plane is basically, the physical plane is here. It's our 3D physical world, right? The intellectual plane is our ideas. It's in our intellect. It's in our mind or imagination. And then the spiritual plane is, again, highest potential. It's something, it's thoughts, it's potential. It's something even bigger than us. Okay, so see how most people go from there? What we're doing here is we're recognizing that we don't need to continue to create more of the same. We don't need to allow our circumstances to impact our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. We can switch it around and we can ask ourselves, if all things are possible, what do I really desire? And we can go from there. And we kind of work backwards. We work from this spiritual plane of this thought that scares us, this dream, this desire, right? And we come back kind of backwards. We go to the intellectual plane and we create the idea. We paint the picture, we get emotionally involved with it, and we hold the vision that it's ours. We take an inspired action on the physical level, right? We take inspired action and we follow that as kind of like our point on the compass, right? Instead of the other way around. It's interesting, right? So it's really important to remind yourself and ask yourself in all situations, am I allowing myself to live through my 3D, or am I living in my 4th dimension? And I know that sounds kind of wild for some people, and it sounds maybe like for some people also, they're like, but I want to enjoy my life now. We are enjoying our life now. We can be so incredibly grateful, but we can still desire more. We can give ourselves permission to have that awareness and that ability to expand exists, right? So if we are focused on what we don't want, if we allow ourselves to get stuck in that, you know, physical reality overwhelm of like so many things I need to do, we're going to continue on in that state. I like to look a little bit further ahead and honestly give yourself grace if you are like, I'm in the thick of motherhood as a single mom or as a, you know, whatever. Give yourself grace and create that C-type goal. I was even talking with a client yesterday about like, you know, what does your life look like a year from now? Paint the picture. And anytime resistance or anytime contrast shows up, we can connect back into, hey, it's okay. These little things don't matter. They don't matter. I know where we're going, and this is how it feels. It's kind of like we can connect back into that. That's exactly what I did when I was living in government housing, like receiving money from the government to live. And I was dreaming of Costa Rica. I was dreaming of somewhere warm. I didn't actually know it was Costa Rica until like a month before we came. So I was in my fourth dimension and it didn't matter. I was walking down the snowy streets, you know, being like, oh man, I am so excited. I am so excited to be there. Okay. So it's almost like this is what needs to happen. Okay. This is what needs to happen. You know, when you say, for example, you book a vacation. Okay. You booked a vacation, you're coming to Costa Rica, you know which date you're coming on, you know, and you start to pack, you start to get your family ready, you start to read books on Costa Rica, you start to, you know, listen to beach sounds in the night, or whatever it is. You start to talk to the kids and draw pictures about Costa Rica, all of these things. Okay, then you start to pack your bags. You're going to Costa Rica, right? You pack your bags. You are living each day in the assumption that you're going to Costa Rica because you booked the flight. That's the level of commitment you need to have for this desire. That's the level. That's the level of assumption, okay? The law of assumption states what we assume to happen or to be true will be. Interesting, right? And so we talked about this on day one, I think, that most of the time we're assuming things we don't want, like, oh, don't fall, or don't like we're assuming things we don't want to happen, and then they do it, they fall, and you're like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. You know, things like that. That's the law of assumption. And it kind of sounds a little crazy again, but how can we assume our desire is ours? How can we really, truly, like, take that first step? That's what I was talking about yesterday, I think it was, when I was like, what's the first step? Yeah, it was, because the homework was to find that first step. If your desire is a 2023 Jeep, go test drive the Jeep. You got to get in the energy of doing the thing. You've got to figure out, how does it feel? You've got to experience that. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so that's the level of commitment you have for your desire. That's how quantum leaping happens. Okay, so this is totally against most people who are like logical thinkers, who are primarily existing in their 3D reality and are living in that reality. They might challenge this. Okay, and that's okay. That's okay. But this is how we can close the gap. So quantum leaping is a literal transformation in your consciousness. So you've allowed yourself, your subconscious mind believes you're already there. Okay, that's how we can like collapse time, basically, is what we're saying here. In linear time frames, most people believe that we need to be living in a linear time frame. This is because this is what we've been taught for our whole lives. This is how our society more or less works, right? It's this idea that, this incremental growth, this incremental wage increase at a corporate job, for example. It doesn't necessarily need to work that way, okay? We can change the way we look at something, and the things we look at change, right? We can upgrade our consciousness, and there's so much more to this that I could go on about this all day, but I won't. But it's that act of, it's not like almost becoming. I'm going to use the vision board as an example, okay? So some people like to make vision boards, and I think it's a great practice. making vision boards, you put all your desires on the vision board, you get all excited and you're looking at them, right? And you hopefully put it up somewhere on your wall. And you look at it, every time you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to be on like a beach in Croatia, you know, like whatever it is. I don't even know. And then there's this disconnect, right? There's a disconnect, usually what happens with vision boards. And that's why, you know, sometimes they do work, right? Because the idea is that you are, I mean, a lot of people get this kind of backwards, but with a vision board, we're looking at our desire. We're not longing for our desire. We're not hoping and wishing it will happen one day. That's the disconnect. That's the linear thinking. Okay. The way that we are doing it is we are becoming the version of ourselves that lives in that space now. Okay. Operating on a different frequency. A frequency is in alignment, a vibrational frequency that is in alignment with that desire now. Okay, this is quantum leaping. And it's interesting, right? Okay, so it's not this act of becoming, because that, I don't like to use the words I am going to, right? It's I am. It's not becoming, it's being. Okay, it's here now. So it's choosing thoughts that support that in everything we do. Interesting concepts, right? Interesting concepts. So anyway, I hope now you can see that you have been through kind of this process over the last 3 days where you opened up to this idea that you can imagine anything you desire. You can bring it to the screen of your mind in your 4th dimension, and you can get emotionally involved with it. Okay, you can begin to decide. You can make a committed decision that it's yours, and you can begin to step towards it. You can begin to close the gap. You can begin to collapse time and quantum leap towards it while it is coming towards you. Okay, and in no piece of that did I say you need to figure it out. And say you need to know how it's going to happen. Those are things that they're not up to us, right? It's only, all it is in spirit movement towards this desire. Does this make sense? You guys let me know in the chat. And let me know if you have any questions. We're going to bring up Kyle, and I'm going to ask her a few questions in a second here. But yeah, let me know if this makes sense. Let me know if you have anything to add even. Makes perfect sense. Amazing. Okay, Lindsay's newer to this, so I'm not sure if it's making sense. And you're also really busy over there. But like attracts like. We can see it in our daily life. We can see it. If we're in a negative mood, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get your finger stuck in the door. You know, like something's going to happen that is, then we're like, oh man, such a bad day. And then something else is going to happen. You're going to spill your drink on your shirt, or someone's going to dump something, right? Yeah, that's how somebody's getting into it too. I love it. Oh, it's amazing. Like, by the way, like teaching our kids these concepts are so powerful. I think it needs to be taught in school, like so much more, just like developing trust in yourself, your intuition, and like your own energy impacts others and things like that. You know, it's so crazy. So interesting. Okay, you guys, let's bring up Kyle. I'm so excited to hear from you, Kyle. I'm going to unmute you and see if I can bring you up on the screen. Okay, one moment. And maybe there we are. Okay. Okay, amazing. So Kyle was, like, you prefer to be called Kai, right? I've been calling you Kyle this whole time.
Yeah, but either.
Okay, either one. Okay. So I'm going to ask you just a few questions. I'm so grateful and excited that you're here. Like I said before, like Kyle's been in Transform. She's been actually since, I mean, let me like get you to tell us. Okay, so how long have you been here? How long have you been hanging out in our energy and program?
I just looked back, and it was March 30th, the manifest and laws of attraction. So yeah, since then. But I feel like it was also since the beginning of March, because I like briefly encountered you, and then I think since then it's
amazing. Where did we meet?
In Costa Rica. We were there for a few weeks in March and just like passed each other like briefly at the playground with our kids. And then something came up about what you were doing, and I was like, sounds perfect. So
That's amazing. I love that, right? It's just so random how
yeah.
we like how our encounters anyway. And like I said, like Larissa is like we used to hang out when we were little kids, and same as Lindsay, like
Mhm.
super little kids.
Mm.
So where do you feel like you were before, even before Manifest?
Yeah. I think that I was super ready for something, some sort of change. I have been doing a lot of work and meditation and yoga and like work on myself, but my husband and I even said when we were in Costa Rica, we're like, oh, we don't want to leave, but because when we go home, we have to like deal with everything, like figuring things out and like back to reality. And we knew we needed something to like expand and grow. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay. How do you feel like you've expanded? Like how do you feel like this material has even like I guess encouraged you or helped you to open up and grow and expand?
Kind of like what you were saying just now is that after these sessions, I just feel like limitless, like you're telling us that we are, and I really feel that, and I feel so good and like in a high vibration. Um, and so I just know I need to stay in this material and with people like that are on here. um, but also I feel like it's just expanded. When I started, I was like open, but also my head can be pretty critical, or like not critical, but like skeptical. So like, yeah, like let's grow, let's open, let's you know, but only to a certain point. I think I imagined was possible, and then I think the growth has been so much bigger and impacting so much more of my life than I could have even imagined. So that's the part that really is even yeah, every day I'm noticing different things that have more like flow more and just feel easier. And
Yeah, totally. You even told me an example one time at a grocery store. Remember? You were
about
like,
shopping.
yeah, about shopping.
I forgot.
Guys, it's just like little
Yeah,
pieces of awareness.
yeah, yeah, they come up everywhere. And I felt like I was focused on my one goal and my two sort of goals that I had for myself, but then it just spreads, and it's so cool. Even we're going on a long road trip tomorrow, and normally this whole week I would be like stressed out about it, trying to do everything and like control everyone, like everything, not everyone, but everything, so that everyone has a good experience. It's a long drive. We have tomorrow like 7 or 8 hours. And now I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna, I don't know. It's just been so much easier getting ready for it. And I think that because of this, which is
Yes.
crazy. Yeah.
I was just talking with Lori yesterday too, who's not on live today, but she was talking about, just being in the flow of like whatever happens is happening, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
happening because I've decided, and I'm holding
Mm-hmm.
this energy of like I'm always exactly where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's meant for me cannot miss me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it just takes so much pressure off. I love that.
Yeah. Right. And then also the choice that we have to choose that we've been talking about so much. It's like so empowering. Like, okay, even if things don't look exactly how I've imagined, I still have that choice, and I still have that power. So it's, I don't know, it's so
Yeah,
powerful.
totally. If it's not that, it's something better. And like, we
Mm-hmm.
don't need to settle for something less or like allow those little voices to say, oh, this is good enough. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we don't
Mm.
settle for just enough. I love that. So what's next for you and your family, I guess? Like, what are you manifesting? What are you working on?
So, creating something, an alternative education for our children, we've been working on with you too.
Yep.
And so we're super excited. Even yesterday, I was sad to be not on live, but at the same time, the people that I met yesterday, I was just like, oh my goodness, I can envision you, coming to Costa Rica with us or being part of it. And I just feel like, I don't know, the people that I'm meeting and everything that's coming is, I don't know, it's just so exciting. I
It's
can just see it.
perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's perfect. And like, it's okay to say that. I think that sometimes we get a little bit like, I don't know if this is your experience, but like mine for sure, it's like, it's almost like we need to downplay I know a little bit of your story, so I can see that coming up that you like, so, but our tendency is like, oh, we need to just be okay. Like, just okay. We don't want to make anyone feel bad that we are enjoying and like everything is working out perfectly for us. Like, we don't need to be in that. So it's really cool to see that kind of that transformation that's happening for yourself. I love that. So yeah, I saw, or I mean, you mentioned that you kind of, this material has been impacting your family as well. And you're noticing them changing. It's crazy, right?
It's crazy. Yeah, it definitely spreads.
Yeah. So the law of assumption is so powerful, and the more that we work on ourselves and the more that we like catch our thoughts and our own assumptions, because like we kind of said yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, it kind of all blends together. Like we wake up with like baggage of assumptions of what's going to happen, how people are going to be, and all the things, but we can actually just shift that. I actually love what you said there, because this morning in our 21 days, our affirmation was, I am attracting the perfect people, opportunities, and experiences into my life today. I can't remember, were you on live or did you watch it yet?
I wasn't. No, not this morning yet.
Isn't that crazy? It's so like intertwined. Everything, when we are in this, like this, I guess this just the state, this like inflow in spirit, everything, you're like, wow, like where did that even come from? And you start to see proof of things happening for you. This is that in spirit inflow, and it's so hard to explain, right? But I feel like you're feeling that a little bit now, right?
Yeah, I am a lot, and I have to be aware, because sometimes I'll go back into the masculine energy and feel like, okay, I need to get this done, and and then I can, but the awareness has grown so much since taking these courses. That's why I keep coming back. So it's helping.
Amazing, right? It's such a difference. And it's all about that awareness. It's I love that. Okay. So last question. Because there's people on here who haven't experienced anything other than this event, or even some people who have, and they're considering joining something within Rise Academy, or like staying in this energy a little bit longer, what advice, I guess, would you say? Do you have anything to share with them?
Yeah, I would say just do it. Please do it. If you have any thoughts about it. I think that sometimes, just pay attention to what is holding you back, if something is holding you back. And that's probably, the first time I was going to sign up, I like waited until the last second, because I'm like, oh, I don't know. But then just do it. Just go for it, because it's so worth it. And it shifts everything. Like, it's more than you can, well, for me, at least, it was more than I could envision beforehand. So just take the leap. And
Yay, you're amazing. Thank you, Kyle. It's just I mean, it's like constant spaced repetition. And I think that's what we're doing here as well. And especially like once we get into the academy and into the programs, like we're just surrounding ourselves with like-minded people. Like when we just did a 6-week program together, and a group program. And it was like, by the end, I was like, oh, I was so emotional.
I know.
So emotional that I didn't want to, it's like you build this community and these connections together. So I'm so grateful. And then we're all going to meet in Costa Rica.
Yes, this winter.
Great. Larissa, you're coming too.
Yeah, Larissa too. And Laura too. And Jocelyn, one more thing. I think what you had said, if you're a new or a mom and thinking about this, like, I think there's a lot of guilt around taking care of ourselves, but it impacts everyone. And Larissa, you've talked about this so much, that it's like, it's something you can do not just for yourself, it's for everyone.
I love that. Thank you. And it doesn't have to be this extra. I hope you guys can see that it's not another thing on your to-do list. It's really, truly just a point of like a piece of where you're attracting from, like how you're operating, how you're showing up, how you're moving throughout your day, how you're thinking and talking to yourself on the inside. That's huge. Okay, thank you so much, Kyle. You're amazing. And I'm so excited to see what's next. I can't even wait. So awesome. Okay, you guys. So I want to next do a little visualization together. Okay, I want to do a little bit visualization. And we're going to go to a place where our desire is fulfilled. We've already done this a little bit, but only for like three seconds. I think on day 2 or day 1. but we're going to have an opportunity, or give ourselves an opportunity, to feel a little bit more, and maybe even discover a little bit more. So like I said before, like this is an incredible opportunity through visualization, journaling, like writing it out. Anything that is an I don't know is unclear. And so it's indecisive. It requires a decision. And so what we're doing here is we're building the awareness to ask ourselves, like, what is this next thing, right? What is this thing? And so a lot of people believe that everything we need to know is inside of us. So this is an opportunity for us to ask ourselves what this desire looks like, what are the details, and then that is most likely when we're going to hear the first step or the next step, right? We get this nudge, this intuitive nudge that we now know what it is, right? And we get to step towards that nudge, trust ourselves enough to hold ourselves accountable to do it, and to begin to close the gap. Okay, so no matter where you are, take a breath, close your eyes. Just connect in with the breath. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can totally come back to this later too, if you're busy at the moment or running after a little toddler. In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So we're going to, again, bring our desire to the screen of our mind. What is that desire? What is that C-type goal, C-type desire? We're going to bring it to the screen of our minds. Notice how you feel. Notice how it makes you feel. Your desire is fulfilled. Your goal is completed. You've made it. You're there. Everything worked out exactly, perfectly for you. Maybe not exactly how you envisioned it in the beginning, but it's done. It's there. You are so excited. You are so relieved. You're so proud of yourself. What does that desire look like? What does that completed goal look like? How does it feel? Is there anyone there with you? You can even look around. If your goal is or desire is a place, you're there. People are with you. Feels exciting. You feel limitless. What does it look like? Take a breath here. How do you feel? What version of you brought that desire into your reality? Is there anything you need to do to become, to embody this desire today? Take another breath. You see this desire completed, fulfilled, physical, manifested, and it feels amazing. You're so grateful. You really, truly feel limitless. You're so proud of yourself. Take another breath. And just observing the desire. Okay, holding on to that feeling and coming back into your physical body. Take a breath here, arriving back in the room. And you can slowly open your eyes. Writing down anything that came up. Maybe you're like, oh, I need to do this, or this came up, or it looks like this. I thought it looked like this, but it looks like this. Write down anything that came up. Like I said, when we get quiet and we allow ourselves that space, in the beginning, sometimes it's hard. Like, I think almost everyone on here live teaches yoga or practices yoga. You know how it is when a new student comes to your class and they're moving around like a little monkey, right? The mind is wild. So in the beginning, sometimes it's tricky to get quiet. But what I want you to do, and that's your homework for today, is to practice this visualizing. Practice tapping into this imagination. Practice, allowing yourself to be unrealistic, like we talked about. Doesn't matter how. Does not matter how. Okay, I want to share something with you guys that I haven't shared yet before. I kind of briefly shared it the other day, actually, on my social media, but not really. So I've been playing with these techniques, as I always am, expanding and growing myself. Okay, I was focused on a specific number. It was 10,000. 10,000. So anytime I was doing my visualization, I was focused on this number, 10,000. Okay, $10,000. I was manifesting this amount of money just to play around. And 10,000, I mean, it's not a lot, but it is a pretty decent chunk of money. Okay. A few days ago, I was doing our 21 days of manifestation in the morning, and I can't remember which day it was. Maybe it was, it was a few days ago anyway. We did a little like visualization at the beginning. And it was so funny that I was sitting there and I was like, 10,000. And how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel when there's $10,000 in your bank account? It's dependent upon where you are right now and your perception around money, right? And so I just want to sharing this so that you can see that you don't need to know the how, you don't need to know any of the details. You can completely detach and just practicing visualizing and hanging out in that energy. And so at the beginning of June, for some reason, I set this intention that this month I was going to manifest $10,000. Okay. It's not like I'm saying that to, anything negative. I was just playing around with this idea. So that day I was doing our 21 days of manifestation. Right after that, what came to mind in the visualization was making money is easy. Creating money is easy. That's what I was currently working on in that visualization. Generating money is easy. I've been telling you guys too, that you guys that have been around in my energy for a little bit, is that I was kind of holding off doing any sort of money like programs or like even like masterclass like this specifically focused on wealth or money or whatever it is, because I wanted to have my own personal experience first. I've been saying that, right? Because I like to do everything I do. I hope that, it's like super, like it's me. I've been through it. I've walked through it, and I'm here to lead you through it, right? And so you guys, it gives me it's so funny to say this, but right after that call, that 21 days of manifestation, for some reason, I think I was paying a bill or something. I opened up my bank account, and guess how much money I'd received? $10,000. Okay. Where did it come from? It came from an old reimbursement that happened 2 years ago that I had written off, that I didn't even know I was ever going to receive it. What the heck? Okay. It could have been any amount of money. I said to Andy, when I told him, I was like, dang, I should have said 20. When you get like that though, when you're in that energy and you're like, holy, what just happened there? I have goosebumps like crazy. That's what I want you to see, is that we are so limitless. And when that happened, I was like, wow. And what day is it? It's like almost the end of June. And I had said at the beginning, this is my intention for this month. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to come from. I'm just starting the coaching academy is not to that place yet. I know it's coming, but it's not there yet. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys, that it's like, honestly, anything is possible, and you don't need to, like, when we get wrapped up in the how, we're blocking our own success. We're blocking that from coming. I said 10,000, I should have said 20, right? And now I know, holy moly, dream bigger, because guess what I received? I received exactly 10,000, right? So nuts. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit for our next 5 minutes together about a couple of programs that are open for enrollment. Okay, I'm so excited for this because we've been kind of almost in like a little bit of a limbo feeling for myself personally, because we ended Transform and then we started the 21 days of manifestation, and it's been amazing. I'm absolutely loving it. It lights me up every single morning, and I have personally shifted a lot. I hope you guys have felt that too yourselves personally. Like, holy moly, absolutely love it. So the first one I want to announce is Proximity. Ooh, it's a monthly membership. It's an inner circle. Okay, this, I've been hearing from all of you that you want to be in this energy more. You want to be in this material more. You need more accountability. You need sisterhood. You need, community. You want to be in this material. Okay, so I labeled this, like, the tagline is for the unrealistic dreamer who understands the power of proximity. Right? It's for us that are like, maybe even those people around us are not on the same page. Okay, so what's included? It's a 3 times a week integration, which is what we're doing in the 21 days, which includes EFT tapping every morning. 3 times a week, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, you also get free access. I'm going to start doing intensive masterminds. So this is a 2-hour intensive mastermind that will be a monthly occurrence. These will be open to the public for $44, or they can buy it for $111 if they want to come in on a group coaching, a small group coaching session as well. You get free access to both of those. Okay, you come into the group coaching and you get access to that 2-hour intensive for free. You also have, obviously, community, accountability, monthly challenges with a prize. I want to push you guys in a good way, obviously, right? You also get first invitations to retreats. I'm in the works with creating some pretty cool experiences here in Costa Rica and eventually in Mexico. Why not? In other areas, right? And then you obviously, as well, in the group, we'll have a library of like books and suggested podcasts and things like that. I also want to create, some yoga classes, just some brief, like 20-minute sessions that really help you to get more in the body, and build your awareness of your own body and your own internalness, visualizations, affirmations, things like that. Okay, so for that proximity, right now I'm opening for founders. So founders, basically you can lock in the $33 a month for life. Okay, 33, as long as your membership is active, like as in like you pay the $33, you stay at that price. Okay, so obviously you can see that I could charge more for this, and it will go up. But you can also pay for a whole year if you want at that price, and it's a deeper discount than 33. It's like $30. So it's so doable. I wanted to make it like super duper affordable for everybody, and just so much value added. So let me know in the chat if you're like excited for this, because I super duper am. We start in July, that one, and that's just an opportunity. Like, there's no commitment to stay for however long. You pay for 1 month, you're in for 1 month. If you want to pay for the year, great, you're in for 12 months. And it's just a pretty great opportunity. Eventually, maybe I'll bring in like guests and things like that. But yeah, we're on the ground right now, and we're starting in July. So that's why Founders is available at such a low affordable price. Okay, the second one I want to introduce you to, just for a brief second here, is Transform. So I don't like to do a whole sales pitch and all of that stuff, because I think that's kind of what's the word, repulsive, right? I don't like that. I know if you're here and you were meant to be in this energy and this material, you're going to show up in it, right? You're going to commit yourself. I'm gonna see you in there, right? I don't need to worry, or I don't need to convince you of anything. Okay. So second thing We just finished Transform. Okay, Transform was a 6-week program. I have reimagined Transform. Okay, I've reimagined it into a 12-week program. 12-week program, you guys. I mean, those of you that were in Transform are like, oh my gosh, like what else can we do, right? The sky's the limit. Like the sky is not even the limit. Okay, so Transform is basically, Transform Reimagined is going to have 1 lesson per week. Okay, 1 lesson per week, and then you're going to get full access into Proximity. So Proximity, the membership group, full access for those 12 weeks, those 3 months. And then you'll have that lesson that we'll meet once a week. Okay, so it's going to be amazing. I feel like I have a note on this. Oh yeah, those of you that just went through Transform. So it's basically I found my notes, 1-hour lesson for 12 weeks. Then you get full access into Proximity, free access into the intensive, the master classes, all the things. We start August 1st. Okay, so for those of you who join Transform Reimagined, you'll also receive a free month into Proximity. So because we don't start till August 1st, you'll also get all of July in Proximity. So you get that 4 months in there. Transform Reimagined right now is $555 US. It's a pre-sale price, and those of you that were in Transform already, you get 50% discount. So you already paid for 6 weeks. Okay, so if you do a little bit of math, the masterclass alone for 3 months is almost adding up to the price of half of 555. So I'm so excited to have these offerings available for you guys. And I would love to see, obviously, I want to see all of you in there on the recording, you guys. If you're here and you feel like you want to dig deeper into this, like you can start with Proximity. Start with Proximity, maybe eventually Transform Reimagined is for you. We don't start until August anyway, but the price of Transform Reimagined will go up. I'm not here to like gouge people. Like I'm not here to like charge you $15,000 for a program. I'm really truly somebody who is all for, bringing in and opening up programs that are affordable for people, like no matter where you're at. So if you want to join and you need a payment plan of like, whatever you can make work, let's do it. Let's talk. Okay. I'm not here to like, make it extreme at all. Do know though that, a little bit of a stretch is okay. Something that pushes you a little bit outside your comfort zone is kind of a good thing. Okay. So anyway, you're going to receive an email about these 2 openings later today. Reach out if you have any questions at all, but I'm so grateful for this community that we're building. I'm so grateful for this awareness. And again, thank you, Kyle, for coming on live with me and just sharing your point of view on this. I'm so happy. Okay, you guys, thank you again. Have an amazing day. So good to see you guys. So good to see you, Lindsay. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon. See you soon. Yay. So welcome.